Last lecture will be done after this, and you need to start counseling. If you don't have your character in, you can turn them in at any time. Um, what are going to be doing is you need to communicate with your classmates. They have characters, and they are the individuals that you will be counseling. And they, of course, will counsel you in turn. The way that I will be grading this is that you will have your counseling session, you will take your notes, and then you will put your notes in underneath the character's name. If you if you counsel, Michelle, then you'll look for Michelle's character, and under Michelle's character, you will type in your notes, and then I will grade your notes. That way, I'll know that you did it, and I'll know what you guys talked about, and I'll know what you came up with. If we look at I can't. Oh, yes, I can. There we go. Okay, let me see. My Identity College. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Let me go to this right here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. There's a list of the what you need to uh, what you need to be looking for in your counseling sessions, and it's on the page, the assignments page. If I can get there eventually, there we go. We'll go to assignments and APA format. Whoops, that's 240. That's the wrong class. Okay, 291. There we go. Okay, characters, topics to be covered in counseling sessions. And, oh, I'm sorry, it's right here. Whatever comes up. I'll show you what it looks like. There we go. Okay. Topics to be covered. This is the part you can take from the history, the current symptoms, the past psychiatric history, social developmental history. We're talking about social developmental. If they have a physical problem, if they live in an abusive household, if they have an abusive spouse, if they were in the Iran war, sorry, the Iraq-Afghanistan conflict. That would be part of their social developmental history, uh, and that comes from actually their history. And then from your interview, you need a synopsis of the interview. That's you saying, okay, I interviewed this individual, and we talked about these select topics. You need to identify the client's strengths. If you can need to identify the client's goals. If you have a diagnosis, especially if it's different from the diagnosis that was in the history, current symptoms, and then you can come up with a plan to help them. You always need to determine if the client is capable of hurting themselves. If they talk about injuring themselves or they talk about suicide, then you need to put it here, and of course, something needs to be done. If they talk about attacking some other individual, that needs to be acknowledged as well. If they do either of these two things, then in a real situation, what you would do is you would take further steps. One, if they were wanted to harm somebody else, you'd need to call the police. If they were going to harm themselves, then potentially you would need to call the ambulance and take them for suicide watch somewhere. And here you have the length of the session. Should be somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour. Usually about 45 minutes is fairly standard. So there you go, topics to be covered in the counseling session. It is on the assignments page. If I can go back to the assignments page, there we go. And as you can see, it's right here. And today we will finish our lectures. We'll tackle chapter 14 and chapter 15. Chapter 14, taking action, and chapter 15 deals with the end, evaluating and ending professional relationships. So let's go ahead and get started on chapter 14, if I can figure out where I am. There we go. Okay. Taking action. The practitioner needs to learn specifics about the problem, such as where the problem occurs, who is involved, what are the immediate antecedents and consequences, what meanings are attributed to the problem. This is fairly logical. You need to know, well, every time I go home, my spouse hits me or yells at me. Where does the problem occur? Occurs at home. Who is involved? My spouse. What are the immediate antecedents and consequences? I come home, I don't say anything. My spouse gets angry, and he and or she hits me. What meanings are attributed to the problem? Why in the world is this happening? He doesn't trust me. She doesn't trust me. She thinks I'm having an affair, whatever. Okay, so I mean, this is logical. If you were dealing with someone, a cousin or whatever, this is the information that you would be looking for. Understanding the environment can require further exploration. Family, is there a problem with the neighborhood? Is there a problem in the school, with the agency they work for, with significant groups within that agency? The organizations, are the organizations giving you a hard time? Is it part of your culture? Is the culture a part of the problem? Race, is there a racial issue involved in what's happening? And socioeconomic class of the client. All of these have to do with the environment, and they all have to do with potentially dealing with the problem. When I first started studying counseling in the middle 70s, action plans were either developed by the counselor or the agency the counselor worked with. When I first learned how to do this, to do counseling, they didn't want you to include the client. The clients were considered to be downtrodden. They were too downtrodden to be able to help. So if somebody needed help, you had to do it. It was your job to come up with a plan. You didn't include the client. You didn't talk to the client until you had something to tell them. I could show you my textbook from the 1970s. I finished my master's degree in guidance and counseling in 1979. Yeah, 1979. And I can show you my textbooks from the. I was in the program from 76 to 7. Finally finished it in 79. So I can show you my textbooks, and none of them say include the client in any plans that you may have. So, but that was the 1970s. Now, of course, things are different. Steps identified by clients, involving clients in developing an action plan. This is what we are doing now. Strengthens their working relationship and teaches the client the skills to handle the problem themselves, potentially the next time. Families and groups all need to contribute. If they are part of the problem, they need to be part of the solution as well. Ask clients which steps they see as difficult. The steps suggested by one member of the family or group may seem easy to one and not to others, of course. Usually, if one member is saying this is what we need to do, it's because somebody else needs to do it, not them. The steps must be small enough that everyone can feel like they can work on the issue. You need to take baby steps. We're not taking great leaps. We need to take baby steps in order to get the job done. Past successes can help identify steps and strengths. The practitioner can use exception-finding questions to identify steps. This is similar to the goal-setting process. Recall a time when the problem did not occur, and let's identify what you were doing at the time. Brainstorm as many steps as possible without critiquing them. Evaluate each possible step. Organize steps by prioritizing what is first, second, etc. The clients need to see value in each step. So you need to brainstorm. Brainstorm means not throwing anything out. If somebody gives you a suggestion, you need to write it down. Even if everybody else thinks it's crazy, that's not the idea of brainstorming. It is essential to work with clients on how they can use their strengths and capacities and resources at each step. The client needs to think about other times when they have faced new tasks and how they have been successful in the past. Organizing and creating incremental steps helps ensure success and helps the client to gain confidence. This process also teaches clients the process of creating plans to achieve goals. And of course, sometimes sometimes your client hasn't been taught this. They've been taught that they can't do anything right. So this is really quite important for them. It builds self-esteem. The practitioner needs to evaluate whether the client is satisfied with their progress. The practitioner can reuse the monitoring system that was established in goal setting. Little progress may relate to whether the client felt goals were attainable or highly valued. The progress made may seem slower to the practitioner. The practitioner should always emphasize positive steps, always move in a positive direction. That's what I tell my kids, and that's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling my students. Should always move in a positive direction. Never move backwards. What steps have you taken since our last meeting to move toward your goals? What positive steps have you made? In the last week, what did each of you do to help make your time together go well? Make a fun week. Between now and the next time we meet, I want you to find one aspect of your behavior that went well and that you'd like to continue doing. After talking to your boss, how did you feel about yourself? Will you tell us about what you did that made things go better this week in your family? We have been working together for a few weeks now. Let's focus on what we have accomplished. Skills to enhance achievement of steps. Teaching can convey information. New information might help clients achieve their goals. Teaching can take place in sessions, workshops, etc. Teaching might involve diversity issues, resolving conflicts, making decisions, and/or leading a group. Role-playing or rehearsing can be useful. Practicing a new behavior in a safe environment increases confidence. During the action phase, it is appropriate and sometimes necessary for the practitioner to be directive. Being directive involves asking clients to do something new or to go in a different direction. Imagine you're talking to your wife now. Tell her what you want her to know. I notice you are directing your comments to me in the group. Would you look at several others while you are sharing? Between now and our next session, will you keep track of one thing you do for yourself each day? Reframing is inviting a different perspective. The practitioner invites clients to see experiences, feelings, thoughts, behaviors, or situations in a new way. Reframing can increase success in achieving action steps. Reframing can use questions to invite clients to see things differently. Reframing encourages clients to think about something they have avoided. Maybe his disruptive behavior in class is an indication that he is bored. Reframing. Identifying discrepancies is similar to confrontation. By identifying discrepancies, it usually involves a behavior that is moving the client away not toward a desired behavior. And I can't remember why I put this in here. British Petroleum. I'm not sure. You're talking about being scared, but you're smiling. Previously, it seemed like we had reached an agreement, and now I hear you are not ready to do that. You said you wanted your son to move home, but you are also shaking your head no. Skills to enhance achievement of steps. Discrepancies can include what a client is saying or doing and what the practitioner is noticing, what the client is saying and what the practitioner heard the client say another time, what the client is saying in the meeting and the client's actions outside the meeting, what the client says is important or is the goal and his/her behavior. Oops. Feedback can be in the form of stating what the practitioner sees and hears, sharing an awareness of what clients are showing non-verbally or expressing in their tone of voice. Groups and families members can be invited to give feedback. I noticed that you were smiling. You look like you are about to cry. I notice your hands are clenched. I think the team is beginning to agree as I see heads nodding. Self-disclosure can be used to share personal information, observations, and opinions to give the client a different perspective or offer an illustration or example. The information from the self-disclosure may be about the practitioner's personal experience and/or his/her experience of the client. Self-disclosure should only be used when the relationship is strong. Self-disclosure should be employed sparingly. Goals of self-disclosure enhance or preserve the relationship. The practitioner's needs do not take precedence, used for the benefit of the client. Ethical concerns of self-disclosure can be a way to subtly include personal values into the interactions. When responding to direct and personal questions, a practitioner should consider what led the client to ask the questions. Is it an effort to change the relationship to something less professional? A question may be a way of asking for advice. Self-disclosure can enhance the genuineness of the relationship. Immediacy is where the practitioner comments on what seems to be happening currently in the relationship. Immediacy can help the client understand other relationships. Immediacy involves a practitioner sharing his or her own thoughts and feelings. Immediacy is about what is happening in the moment with the client. And that is the end of chapter 14. Let's get rid of this and go on to chapter 15. Boom, the end. Chapter 15. Wait a minute. Here we go. Boom. Evaluating and ending professional relationships. Here we go. Needs to be continuous throughout, evaluating progress needs to be continuous throughout the counseling process. Anytime you're doing something, teaching, I always evaluate how things are going on a continuous basis. Is this working? Is it not working? Before the first meeting, the practitioner should evaluate whether additional information is needed, information about the client, evaluate what level of expertise that will be needed for this client. During exploration stage, practitioners evaluate if they have necessary information about resources needed. Do they have the expertise to work with the spatial needs of the client? Evaluation as an ongoing project. The practitioner needs to perform ongoing evaluation after each session is done to identify how well the client thinks that he or she is being heard and to determine the strength of the relationship. And of course, this is quite important. During the exploration phase, the practitioner evaluates whether they fully understand the problem, situation, and issues of the client. During the goal-setting phase, practitioners monitor the quality of the alliance and baseline assessment of actions. During the action phase, practitioner and client develop a plan for goal achievement that is a blueprint to evaluate progress. After each meeting, the practitioner should consider whether the work is leading to the achievement of the identified goals. If the skills being used aren't helpful, the practitioner needs to adjust the technique. If progress is being made, it is important to highlight successes and focus on improvement. Evaluations should emphasize progress to be supportive of the client and gratifying for the practitioner. Demonstrating progress through evaluations demonstrates success. Success enhances self-esteem by showing the client that they can succeed. As self-efficacy increases, so does the client's sense of empowerment. One of the most important times for evaluation occurs during the ending process. What was the most helpful? What did not work well? What was learned? What are additional areas for growth? Scaling questions are an excellent tool to use for evaluating progress. They can be used in your final evaluation with the client. If the scores are lower, the practitioner might discuss additional work that the client needs to do to accelerate their progress. Let's review our goal attainment continuum again to see if you believe you've reached the expected outcome. When we began working on reviewing the agency's policies on providing services to elderly clients, we identified several goals. In our next meeting, let's review what we have accomplished in relation to each goal. As you know, our final meeting will be 3 weeks from today, reminding the client of when the relationship will end. Before our next meeting, will you think about what has been most helpful to you? Early on in this project, we established clear goals. I think we should talk together about whether those goals have been achieved and decide if further work is necessary. Is that okay with you? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being completely satisfied with where you are in relation to this goal that we set, what number would you give yourself? I remember that when we started working together, you told me that folks in the family yelled at each other at almost every meal. You have come a long way since then. Let's spend a few minutes reviewing what you have accomplished since we began working together. Good practitioners are continually involved in evaluation of their work. Practitioners may elicit feedback about things they said or did that were helpful or those that were not. I'm Batman. Clients can be invited following ending of services to complete a written form on their satisfaction. Evaluations can be reviewed face-to-face or not. Receiving this evaluation information gives the practitioner information for helping future clients. Professional relationships end for a number of reasons: managed care, insurance, lack of funds, achievement of goals, lack of satisfaction with progress. When clients leave unexpectedly, it is good to follow up. Ask clients about their decision to leave whenever possible. The practitioner should indicate to the client that the meetings are ending. The client and practitioner may decide to have less frequent meetings before the final ending. The client and practitioner need to summarize such things as what has been most important, what changes have been made, what was most difficult. Reviewing and remembering both the good and the difficult times in the process is quite important. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner and client identify what tasks remain to be completed after the relationship has ended. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner tells the client that they can return for future meetings if needed. In the ending process for a professional relationship, the practitioner invites feedback about the entirety of their work together. At the end of a professional relationship, the practitioner asks the client if there are any final questions. Saying goodbye, feelings about the ending. In long-term relationships, the client and practitioner need to allow time to talk about their feelings. Some clients feel a sense of loss, sadness, fear, and/or anger. Clients may feel happy about their achievements and ready to move on. Positive reactions and pride in their work is as common as sadness or anger. Feelings about ending. If the client has limited supportive relationships or is hesitant about their ability to continue on their own, they may express more painful feelings. Ending with groups can bring similar feelings. Practitioners may also experience emotions. As appropriate, practitioners can share their feelings. I'm going to miss seeing you and hearing about your progress. I am happy that you have achieved your goals. I am going to miss our time together. I feel sad when I think about not seeing you, but I am glad that you are satisfied with the progress that we have made. This will be the last time that I see you. I am glad you have been a part of your journey. I am glad to have been a part of your journey as you figured out the best way to help your aging father. I hope the nursing home works out well for your father. I am glad that in our work together you are able to mend your relationship with your brother. I hope that over time you will become close friends and support each other. I can see that you are really excited about the opportunities that your new job is going to provide for you. I'm so glad that you achieved your goal of getting a new job that offers you new opportunities. Ending with task groups and larger groups involves the same process as ending with a single client relationship. It is important to talk about when work will be completed. Work with the group to develop a thorough summary of what has been accomplished in order to stabilize future changes. Make plans for sustaining and building on the group's accomplishments. Develop a system for evaluating the work accomplished and giving feedback. This should all be in place. Celebrating successes should be included. Since next week will be our last meeting together, I think we should make a plan for how we will celebrate everything that you have accomplished. I have enjoyed working with each of you and will miss seeing you. I am confident that you folks will continue to use the parenting methods that you learned in this group. Identifying career-long processes. Professionals should participate in self-evaluation and evaluation of clients by getting feedback from peers and supervisors. Practitioners pursue ongoing professional development through participating in personal counseling, reflecting on your own values and ethics in your work with diverse clients, participating in lifelong learning to keep abreast of new ideas and resources. Create a career development plan that might include practice skills and knowledge related to different types of client challenges, different cultural groups, different size systems, professional journals, continuing education, deciding whether to specialize or not, staying current with evidence-based practice, keeping current with research is expected. And of course, that's one of the reasons why people join the APA or the ACA, the American Counseling Association. I'm just sick of goodbyes. And that is the end. So I will be looking forward to seeing your counseling sessions. You can start any time now. We are done. That's the last thing you need to do. If you haven't turned in your papers, you need to turn in your papers. dealing with the problem that your client has. You can write the paper any way you like. You just need 5 references. I need to know that you understand how this person is supposed to act by getting information from another, from someone who has dealt with that problem before. So there you go. I will, if anybody has any questions, I have office hours Monday and Tuesday in the afternoon, 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I have office hours on Wednesday and Thursday from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you need to talk to me, you can talk to me then. You can email me, you can call me on the telephone. I want everybody to succeed. I want everybody if you want to be a counselor, I want you to experience counseling in this class, and that's one of the reasons why I've set it up the way that I've set it up. So good luck, and I hope to hear from you very soon.